with one form, Barnabas.
Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. I just want to take like 4 minutes, not more. I've given you hard copies of some forms to check on, and we want to demonstrate something with them. First, you need to look at them and note that the prints are very small. Those prints are very small, but the signatures are there. That means people signed them, literally. So probably, did they even verify that data before signing on a hard copy format like that? When we look at them on the screen, one of the forms look like that, and then I will give you another form now, which also looks like that. So these are 2 forms. If I click here, that's one of them, and then this is another one. Even by the size, you can see that they are all both the same forms. So looking at them casually by your eyes, they will pass for IEBC forms. One of them is obtained from the Bomas during the election results announcement, and another one is brought later on by the whistleblower who claims to work for IEBC. So we had to take that seriously and compare the 2 forms. So when we compare these 2 forms, we know that what authenticates a form in current technology, one of them is the barcode. If you scan that barcode, it will give you this value, which authenticates that that form, the barcode is correctly placed. When you come to this other form, and then you scan its barcode also, maybe on your mobile device if you decide to, then you will realize that it also gives you this. Apparently, the website that the barcode needs to point you to is pulled down and it no longer exists. So we have these forms, and we were intelligent enough to pick them up while they were still online during the IEBC processes. The next thing that validates a form is the signature. A person cannot decide to sign a form and then later on be given another form to sign without explanation, especially if the forms appear to have some different content. So in other words, the people who signed these forms probably just signed once and took off. So how come the 2 forms seem to have the same signatures again? We have these signatures, and we have that signature. This is Japheth Omara, and this is also Japheth Omara. The third thing that authenticates any form is the stamp. Anybody who stamps a form knows that they own that form, literally. So these 2 forms seem to have, again, the same stamp. But then let's look further. If somebody sends you inside to go check the content, you will take off and say, that's too much, I cannot do it. So we had to use another method of figuring out what the content entails. And so let me take you to what we did to confirm the 2 forms for you. What we did is we took the 2 forms and processed them, and then it had to take the results of all the 4 candidates that were there at that time. Then we realized that in every constituency, the Honorable Professor Wajakoya and the Honorable Mwaure, their data did not change at all. If he got 1 in this form, he got 1 in the other form. But when we checked on the other 2 candidates, that is Raila Odinga and William Ruto, we noticed that there were some changes that were beginning to show up in these forms. Remember, the IBC whistleblower did not carry this process out. We carried it out as Azimio to check what really happened. Now I want you to look at the last two columns. The last two columns gives us the differences of the votes between the two forms. So if you look at this Moroni Primary School, room 1, Raila got 245 votes and Ruto got 73 votes from the whistleblower's data. Again, Raila got 245 and 73 for Ruto in the Boma's portal data. That gave us a 0 for Raila and a 0 for Ruto. So using that method throughout, we run through this form, and then we start noticing differences. We come to this particular station, and then we realize that here, in the other form for the whistleblower, Raila has 223, and Ruto has 134. And in the Bomas portal, Raila now has 123, and Ruto has 234. That you cannot even verify from that small thing form that is been given to you. Those fonts with the just row I, you cannot even read them. But the system read them for us and gave us that. Then we scanned through and realized that there were some jumpy, fishy operations going on in some of these constituencies. So we looked at another one, and we saw here he has, Raila has 277 votes and 102. But then in the Bomas, now he has 77, and William Ruto has 304 votes. Now, when we take that throughout, we notice that in this particular constituency, Raila now has negative 550 votes deducted from him, and Ruto has 550 votes added to him. Now, let's confirm with just one form, and I'll be done. With just one station, and then I will be done. So let's get to this Gazi. Let's get to this Gazi Primary School from these two forms. So I take you to them. The good thing with computers is that you can zoom and you can check, but the form, you may not be able to do that. So we have Gazi Primary School here. In this Gazi, I guess it's this one. This is 223, and this is 134. But when we come to this particular form, and we go to the same station, which is Gazi, Gazi Primary Room 1. Now, Raila has 123 and Ruto has 234. The Professor Ojakoya and Maure, their votes remain unchanged. The other values also remain unchanged. That is the total valid votes. And also you note that the rejected votes were 7. So this is the consistency we have in all this. Just to check, this is the consistency we have in some of the constituencies, and other constituencies there is nothing that happened, and that is where the total votes that you see in the final analyzed result gives us 8 million in the Bomas in the server.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes.
When we listened to all the other presentations, we were strict on time. So far, this team has done.
I am done, actually.
8 minutes.
I am actually done.
It doesn't matter. People can heckle, can do what. Those are facts, and that's the truth. We were all guided. I'm actually concerned for them because, you know, they have 5 items to present. This is item number 2.
We are sufficiently guided. We thank you, Chair. Now, the next slide coming your way will just point to when we say audit, what is the tapestry, what does it look like to audit the the elections results, so that we are quite clear that it involves not just the polling station results, it involves transmission, it involves the audit, involves the responsibilities of all state actors in the process. Now, it's only upon audit that you can actually reconstitute and restructure the IEBC, because then you know what it is that you're fixing, what went wrong, and therefore what are you fixing. Now, in reconstituting it, obviously, the various parties will want both the opposition and government side to contribute to this on a 50-50. When we say restructure, it's not just about changing the persons who are the commissioners. It's about looking at these institutions, as we said, on a structural level, and that involves, of course, the secretariat. We also think we must separate the election management and boundary delimitation for obvious reasons with boundary delimitation. The IBC and election statutes must also align to the Constitution, because the chair should not be a sole shareholder or a sole driver of the institution. The chair ought to be a first among equals. The role of the CEO should be in accordance with Article 250. We must also, of course, have enabling legislation for Articles 86 and 138. IBC should use taxpayers' money, so the elections fund. And there ought to be very stringent penalties for IBC officers, and this should be taken to personal responsibility so that we can have something that works. Of course, monitoring technology, not just by IBC, but also political parties at the polling station level. Political parties should be involved. There was a debate earlier about should politicians be involved. Political parties must be involved in the verification of materials. And also, there should be no statute of limitation on these when people should change the will of the people. So prosecution should be